You are now part of a social experiment.
See now where my limit is. Only got no.
Another issue that you've been bringing about a lot too, as somebody with a background in literacy, is that in 2022, the country stated that Black children in the fourth grade had a 17% reading proficiency rate. So, as a literacy educator, what exactly, does that mean? And how do we go, forward from 17%?
So 2 ways to look at that, right? And that's a statistic about Black fourth graders, right? And remember, Blackness is diverse. A lot of people who are biracial or bicultural, if one half of them or even a quarter is Black, they might click Black. If they don't speak English, but they're Afro, Latino, Latina, they might click Black.
Mm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So first we have to understand Blackness is diverse.
Right.
But I looked at that percentage. Okay, 17% are proficient in reading. That means 83% are at basic proficiency or below. That means we failed 83% of our nation's children. See, back to that political people who are saying education shouldn't be political. 83% of us are failing according to this data. So how can I not start talking about justice when there is, this big extreme 83%? Is this your nation? Is this your son? Is this your daughter? I would ask. So when I read a statistic like that as a literacy scholar, I am first asking, do we have 17% proficiency or have we failed 83% of children through the system? I'm going to ask about that test. Is that test accurate? Because if I told you, if we think about a medical exam and your blood pressure is this, and you can first question the test. Is this true? Well, what was I doing before I took the blood pressure test? Are we asking how accurate is the test? How accurate are the scores? We're going to say who wrote the test. Is it a diverse group? Is it balanced? Is it equitable? We're going to ask questions like, let's look at the reading questions, the passages. We know for a long time they were asking kids in the city farm questions about being a farmer. It just like kids in New York, that question isn't going to hit them different than kids in Illinois who might live near a cornfield. So, I'm also going to question the tests, and then I'm going to question the system. What has been done to lead to scores like this? I'm going to look at the curriculum that is in most of our nation's schools. See, people don't do that. They just say, 17%, they need intervention. They need help. They need this. That's not where you go. You go to the why. You start to studying what did the curriculum give them, what didn't it give them? Because the curriculum may be designed for 17% to be proficient. The system may be designed for 83% to be basic or below. So those are the kinds of questions I ask. And I then respond to those answers. I don't just go to the deep end. And most of us don't do that either. Again, if we were taking medical tests for ourselves, we would ask follow-up questions. We would say, are you sure? Are you sure that's accurate? Well, what was I doing? Did I feel like taking that test today? We're going to ask the questions, but for some reason, when it comes to Black children and literacy, we don't.
Great points. Great points. So in your book, Cultivating Genius, you say that every child possesses genius and brilliance by nature, and it is our job to kind of cultivate that as adults. So for those that just are not aware of that and how to do that, what advice would you give to the adults in these children's lives and how to cultivate their genius and brilliance?
Well, I think they first need to think about their own genius, and when somebody recognized and saw the brilliance in them, the gifts that they carry, I think they have to know what genius is. Genius is like the special and unique qualities you carry. It doesn't have to just be about a state test. I met a child yesterday, and 4-year-old Malik, little baby, and he had a sense of wit about him. Like could make you laugh and smile. 4 years old, and he had like little tricks where he held something in his hand and asked you to guess, and then gave clues. I saw genius in this child. He had he had an inquisitive nature. He had a gift of teaching. He had a gift of wit and laughter. He had a gift of making you smile. He had a gift of joy. That's what I look at children. Those are the kind of things I look for. And people do that naturally sometimes with their own children, but they don't extend that to other people's children sometimes. And so what I mean by that is it starts with you recognizing the brilliance and the special gifts and qualities you have. Because if you don't see it in yourself, you're not going to see it in a child that's not yours. And then the second thing is you have to believe. You have to believe in something you cannot fully see yet. And I give the example of it's like planting a seed. If you plant a seed, and if I give you a little brown seed, and I say, Mr. G, with the right cultivation, the right sunlight, the right watering, this is going to bloom into a beautiful, colorful flower.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can't see that now. You just have to believe it.
Right.
But you have to believe plus do the right work. Those are your two responsibilities. You have to believe and do the work. If you believe that the seeds will grow, but you don't do anything, you don't water it, you don't nurture it, it's not going to bloom. We have people like that in education. They believe, but then they don't follow it with the work. And then we have people who do the work, they teach every day, they do the strategies, but they don't believe in the beauty of that flower. That ain't going to work either with children. So you have to do both, but you would be surprised. Some people look at that little brown seed and say, I don't see it. I don't see no flowers. I don't see the petals. So how can you believe in something you can't see yet? And if you don't believe it, what kind of work are you going to do for it? If you don't really believe that flower is going to bloom, your work is going to look raggedy. I'll water it every other day. You see where I'm going with this?
Yes, ma'am. Great point.
That's what happens with our schools. So that's the kind of work we have to do as educators.